Welcome to the channel. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be talking about the 7 essential tools to begin watch repair. Let's get started. There's no question the 2 most important tools that you're going to need are going to be tweezers and screwdrivers. There's a million different options as far as tweezers go, so I just want to concentrate on the 4 most popular styles with the advantages and disadvantages of each. The first style of tweezer we're going to talk about are the carbon steel. Now, just like the name implies, they're made out of steel. So I typically wouldn't recommend a carbon steel because then you have to worry about magnetism. The second type of tweezer you're going to see are going to be stainless steel. Now, there's basically 2 types of stainless steel tweezers. There's the anti-magnetic, which is what you should be using, and there's the ones that are not. The ones that are not are typically going to be $2 or $3. So when you're shopping for a set of stainless steel tweezers, make sure they're anti-magnetic. The third type of tweezer is going to be brass. Now, I'm particularly fond of brass for several reasons. The first reason is because brass is softer than steel. You can handle steel parts without having to worry about scratching them. A pair of brass tweezers could be picked up for a little bit more, or about the same price as a pair of stainless steel, about $4 or $5. If there's a downside to brass, is that because the metal is softer than stainless steel or carbon steel, it takes a little more work and you have to be a little bit more careful about the tips to keep them in good shape. And then you have bronze. Bronze happens to be my tweezer of choice. It won't scratch steel, but it's a little bit harder than brass, so it's easier to maintain the tip. The downside to bronze is that a pair of tweezers like this is going to cost about $50 to $80 depending on who the manufacturer is. So if you're brand new to watchmaking, I would definitely recommend that you either invest in a pair of brass or a pair of anti-magnetic stainless steel tweezers. Now, there's a lot of different opinions on what type of screwdriver you need. There's no doubt that you can get a set of screwdrivers like this for about $26. I would probably recommend getting a full set so that you have all the screwdriver sizes. But when starting off in watch repair, you don't necessarily need a $200 set of screwdrivers. Now, there is a quality difference between the two. Let me show you what I'm talking about. One of the big differences is going to be in the quality of the steel on the actual screwdriver tip. Quality screwdrivers are going to have a hardened steel tip, and this means it's going to be less likely to get damaged or broken handling screws. The other big difference between screwdriver manufacturers is how well the screwdriver pivots while you're holding it. This is typically how you would hold a screwdriver, with your finger on the top, pushing down and twisting to unscrew the screw. Higher quality screwdrivers just feel a lot smoother in your hand. Just remember, when picking out the 2 most important tools you're going to be using, in the beginning, it doesn't matter so much about the quality. What really matters is that you're able to sharpen the tips of the screwdrivers and the tips of the tweezers so that they're in the best possible condition. A set of $26 screwdrivers with perfectly sharpened tips will work for you better than a set of $200 screwdrivers with jacked up tips. The next tool you're going to need is a sharpening stone. Now, this particular one's by Horatech. It has an India stone that sits a little bit proud of a wooden block. As long as you can sharpen an inexpensive set of screwdrivers, they'll work perfect for you. You can also pick up an Arkansas stone for about $30. This will also work. If you get one wide enough, it'll still work with the screwdriver holder while you're doing your sharpening. With either one of these sharpening stones, you'll also be able to dress your tweezer heads. The next tool you're going to need is a movement holder to hold the movement while you're disassembling. I typically would recommend an adjustable movement holder. This is a size for most wristwatches. This is a size for pocket watch or larger movements. An adjustable movement holder like this could be picked up for about $5. The larger size go from anywhere from $20 to $70 depending on the manufacturer. Now that you have the movement in the holder, now you have to be able to see your work. So you're going to have to get a loupe. Loupes come in varying sizes of magnification. Loupes are typically called out by the working distance, meaning how far away the loupe is from the actual work surface. Most people find that about a 4-inch working distance works best for them. It's something that you'll just have to play around with. So at a minimum, I would start off with a 4-inch working loupe. If you wear eyeglasses, there's a couple different styles of eyeglass loupes you can wear. This is a pair from Harbor Freight. It's about $5. This is an Ari set. I think these run about $60 or $70. And of course, some people like the big head visors. I'm not a particular fan because I don't like something sitting on my head like that, but this is another option as well. And the last thing you're going to need is something to hold the parts in. Now, it really doesn't fucking matter if you're using a piece of Tupperware. You just want something to contain the parts, because believe me, all it's going to take is a sneeze and you're going to have parts launching off into the millennium. You're never going to be able to find it. So no matter what you use, just put your parts in something so that you can contain them. Little holders like this run about $5. I use parts trays like this that have 24 slots in them. Here's another type of parts tray that I use a lot. I like these because it has a lot of compartments and there's also big and small ones. Also, the top rotates, which helps to keep the parts dust free. And then you have some parts holders that have as many as 40 slots in them. Now this is typically not going to need something like this when you're starting off. This would be if you're working on a very complicated movement, perhaps like a chronograph. You have to be careful with these because the trays are very shallow. And a lot of times the wheel will stick up above. And if you're not careful, when you close the lid, you could crush the wheel. And you definitely don't want to start breaking parts. So just to recap, the 7 tools to start off with is a pair of tweezers, a set of screwdrivers, a loupe, a movement holder, a sharpening stone, and a screwdriver sharpening jig or sharpening holder in some sort of parts container. Guys, I appreciate you hanging in to the end. In our next episode, we're going to be talking about sharpening and dressing tweezers and screwdrivers. If you want to learn more about watch repair, go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification, and if you got any value out of this, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. Until next time, we'll see you later.